Hey everyone, welcome to my Pastor Paul update. Thanks for joining me this week. This week I'm interviewing Matt Dietz for the last time. We're just really thankful that he's spent all this time with us talking about health. I've spoken with many of you on Sunday mornings and throughout the week in emails, and I've heard a lot of great comments about what Matt has to say. And so we're just so thankful that he has joined me. And if you want to look him up, he's Discover Health Chiropractic here in the Cedar Rapids area. That's Discover Health Chiropractic. And so feel free to look him up. He does a great job, and we're so thankful that he's with us. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Before we get to that, I just want to give you an update on our Lenten project. We are almost at $20,000 out of $25,000, our goal for raising this Lenten season. And remember, this is matched. So $25,000 that we raise is matched by $25,000. So every dollar you give makes $2. And so we're really excited about this. Let's charge to the end. Let's break through that $25,000 barrier and let's really do this well. So thank you for your contributions to the Lenten Project. And here's Dr. Matt Dietz. Well, welcome everybody to Pastor Paul Update this week. I'm here with Dr. Matt Dietz, and this is our last time together as we finish up with the last of the 5 essentials for healthy living. And we want to just let you know, first and foremost, that there's a book that Matt gave to me, and it's called Winning My Race. It's by Dr. Ben Lerner. And I've really enjoyed reading through this. Now, I'll admit that I sped read, right? I got the high points, you know. I might not have read all the stories, the success stories. But, I mean, as far as just talking sensibly, I feel like there's a lot of books out there that have a fad for you, right? This is not a fad. This is like just how to do this in everyday life. You want to talk a little bit about Winning My Race and Ben Lerner?
Yeah. This was just a book that Dr. Ben had written, and with a lot of other doctors that I know, and we kind of created this. And this one is actually designed for going through like a church program, like a weekly, kind of like what we've been doing. Right. And it's how to change your lifestyle, improve your lifestyle. Right. So because we know a diet somewhere, there's not a lack of diets, right?
Right.
And everybody's done a diet, lost weight, and then gained more back as soon as they stopped. Right. So it's not about diets. It's not about that. It's a lifestyle change. And we go through the 5 essentials of making those different lifestyle changes in each area, what you can do, and just be just that little bit better every day.
Right, which is what I mentioned in our first time together. I think that's one of the things that I really appreciated about when I walked into your chiropractic location. I noticed that it wasn't just about adjustments. It was about total kind of life transformation. You talk about the 5 essentials. So somebody who comes to you is not just going to get an adjustment. They're also going to you're going to talk about nutrition. You're going to talk about
definitely
exercise and toxins.
Definitely. Yeah, it's all part of it. That's why they're called 5 essentials. I love your analogy used one time there about the 5 basketball players. Right? Yeah. So if one player is not on the court, guess what? It's not going to work too well, right?
Right.
If you're missing one of those essentials, that's why it's essential. They're not just 5 good ideas.
Yeah.
They're 5 things that we all need in our life, all parts of our life, and what are we doing in those to help our body be the best it can be, and again, rebuild the temple, if you will.
Right. So this is awesome, and if you'd like more information about it, I'm sure you can Google it. You can talk to Dr. Matt as well. But just has been really I've enjoyed reading it, and so the last section is on minimizing toxins.
Yes.
And this was a section, honestly, when I read through it, I just thought, wow, I don't think I knew any of this. I mean, I think I heard certain things. I mean, obviously, your chemicals in your house and stuff like that. But they list the top 5 toxins.
Yes.
And so I want to talk through these a little bit today. So the first one that they list on there, as far as toxins for your body, are medications.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Well, first of all, there's a time and a place for everything. And I'm not giving you medical advice to take medications or not take medications right now. But every medication is toxic to us in some way, shape, or form. That's why you can't take the whole bottle. right?
Sure.
Because it's not good for you, right? And there's a time and a place for everything when people need to do something to get through that moment.
Right.
But we're not meant to be taking this for forever.
Sure.
You may have a headache, so you take an aspirin. Well, you may not feel your headache anymore, but it wasn't a lack of aspirin that caused the headache.
Right.
So that's where I focus on is, okay, what's the root cause? What's causing this? And what do we need to do to improve our health so that you don't need to be on medications?
Right.
Because everyone has a side effect, if not many side effects. Sometimes the side effects are worse than the initial problem. If you've ever watched a TV commercial, you're like, when they're advertising something, sometimes it gets kind of scary. It's like,
right.
Why would I take that?
I agree.
If you actually listen to it or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But again, if there's a time and a place for everything, but the goal should be to get off it. I've never had someone come in and be asking me, how do I get on more medications? They're asking,
Right.
how do I get off these medications?
Right.
So with that, obviously, what do you need to do to improve your lifestyle? And then work with your doctor, how do I get off, what can I do to get off these medications?
Right.
And they should be able to help you with that.
Yeah. Right. Which is what I appreciated about what he said, because he wasn't saying, medications are the worst thing ever, get rid of them. He was saying just what you said, which was, hey, look, the fact of the matter is that these are toxins that you're putting in your body. These are not natural things that that your body, produces. And how do you improve your overall health to pull away from them? And I totally agree with you. I watch those commercials. My favorite ones where they're talking about this whatever medication they're pushing is may cause death, right? Those are my favorite. I love those. And I'm like, okay, I guess maybe.
Cause severe diarrhea, to operate heavy machinery,
Right.
Whatever. You could all these big things. The whole thing was for a runny nose to start with. I'm like, I'll keep the runny nose versus that if that was my choice. But talk to your doctor, find if it's right for you, right? Something
Which,
like that.
Again, we are not telling anybody to stop taking medication. Just saying, hey, talk to your doctor, talk to Dr. Matt about what are ways that you can change your overall health so that possibly we can get off some of those medications.
Exactly. That's the goal. The goal of a medication isn't to just fix everything. It's to, alleviate that symptom until you can get healthy so that you don't need that anymore. Yeah. That's the point of it. And so what do we need to do to take action for ourselves so that we can get healthy and don't need that medication anymore?
Right. Very good, very good. So number one was medications. Number two, household toxins. And I went through here, cleaners, personal care products, propylene glycol.
Yes.
Don't even know what that is. Sodium lauryl sulfate, cookware.
Yes.
So
I could talk about all these. There's enough topics here, and there's enough all day long that we could talk about. Just hit a couple of them real quick. We look at just the things in your health. Your personal care products. The average woman puts over 100 chemicals on her body before she leaves the bathroom in the morning. And so that's just right there. That's your shampoo, your toothpaste, all that, whatever. Not to mention throughout the rest of your day. So we're constantly bombarding ourselves with toxins. Sodium lauryl sulfate. So that's it's a cleanser. It's in almost all your soaps and shampoos, things like that. It's a degreaser. So that's something that's very toxic to our body. We want to avoid that whenever we can. So if you're looking at your ingredients list, just like you should on your personal care products, just like you should in your foods, you want to read the ingredients list. Again, if you don't know what it is, you probably shouldn't be using it because your skin is actually your largest organ. And if you put it on your skin, it's just like putting it in your mouth. So if you can't put it in your mouth, you shouldn't put it on your skin.
Sure.
Is that it?
Yeah. So how do you avoid those things?
Well, again, you got to read the labels, and you can't just go to the store and just buy whatever thing. You actually have to take some interest in it. You maybe have to do a little research on it. And there are better choices. Yeah. We were talking before about coconut oil. It's great for cooking, great for all that. Much better choice on that. But it's antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. So it's great on all those things too. But you can also use it in place of lotion on your skin.
Sure.
Because it's a medium chain fatty acid that your body can absorb right away.
Yeah.
So that would be a small little change of something very natural you could do. Not that everybody has to do this. There's other lotions and things you can do, but that was just an example of something different that you could use.
Just a side story for that. Since I have a 2-year-old at home, and Joel's behind the camera. You guys can't see him, but he's behind the camera. He's got a little baby. But I remember when Toby had really bad diaper rash, right? I mean, just, it was bad. Do you know what we put on his butt? Coconut oil. And I mean, it handled it within a couple days. You know, versus all the other over-the-counter goop, Desitin, I mean, all this stuff. We put on coconut oil, and that, I mean, it was like magic. So that's just a side note. That's for Joel behind the camera.
There you go.
For all you people who have babies and diaper rash. I know, very important.
You mentioned like also cooking things in there too. So if you have most people unfortunately Teflon, nothing sticks to Teflon. So okay, what makes it even stick to the pan? It's Teflon is very toxic, but most people they'll have a scratch in that Teflon. Well, most of those pans are made with aluminum, so now aluminum is getting in there, and we know aluminum also affects your brain. It's a big cause of Alzheimer's. Again, also with your personal care products, your antiperspirants, they have aluminum in there that coats that so it can't, so those toxins can't get out. So you're putting more toxins in. So again, that leads to brain dysfunction there and other problems. So a better choice is stainless steel pots and pans if you can. That's always going to be a much better choice than with your Teflon.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So household toxins, number 2. Number 3, I didn't even know how to say it. Environmental endocrine disruptors.
Yes. So your phthalates is one of them. A lot of your plastics, things like that, can be very toxic. So, like a bottle of water, right? Well, I know water's on there too, so we'll talk about. But you just get a bottle of water you would buy from the store. Now that you know how you squeeze the bottle and it makes that sound, whatever. Every time you do that, there's some of that plastic, is a little bit of that chemical is leaching into that water. So we don't want that. Now, especially like, okay, we've had this cold winter. You have a bottle of water in your car. I keep one in my car for emergency reasons. Now, I would never drink that now because if that freezes, that's going to actually, those toxins are getting into that water. So I won't drink that unless it's an emergency type situation. I would need to drink it. Same thing in the summer when it gets hot. Same thing happens. So it's there for emergency reason, but I would not drink that one's been sitting hot in my car all summer kind of thing. Now, again, water's going to be a better choice than a lot of your Coca-Cola, like we talked about. Right. But again, the whole spectrum on that. So with that, it's just little plastics. They're hormone disruptors. Your endocrine system is your hormones. So that leads to even a lot of types of cancer, things like that too. So things we definitely want to avoid. For example, like breast cancer is a hormone-related cancer. So we want to be avoiding things that are going to disrupt our hormones. I mean, telling our body that it's not working correctly.
So, and I've heard, I think this has been talked about a little bit more often these days, but microwaving food in plastic. I mean, I've heard that's really, really bad.
Yes.
Is that because these endocrine disruptors are all coming out in that, or?
Yes, that's part of it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, we want to, don't want that plastic in it because that plastic is essentially melting a little bit, if you will, and some of that is getting into that food.
Okay. Then why do
microwave's a whole other thing too.
Then why do they put on the label microwavable?
Well, because they've made it so that you can heat it up that way. Again, it isn't there for a health perspective.
Okay,
first
all
of all.
right. So
they're not approaching it from a health perspective.
They're saying this won't melt in your microwave completely.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Steam in the plastic bag is still,
Yeah. Okay, all right. Number 4 was tap water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tap water has chlorine in it. I think Cedar Rapids, it's chloramine instead of chlorine. So chlorine, we know is very toxic anyway. It kills. We use it to clean the water, but it kills the bacteria, viruses in there. But what's that doing to us? Actually, a majority of your body, you have more bacteria and viruses in your body than you do have cells. So we can't eliminate it. We don't want to eliminate it. We need those things for our gut to work, for everything else to work. We need those. It's actually part of our protection level. chlorine itself is very toxic. It also can affect a lot of other functions in the body, how it works. I remember I used to work at a swimming pool as a lifeguard, and we had to like go in and like count how many chlorine tablets were in the thing, and you had to like. That was like probably one of the worst things I could have ever done in my life. You know, I'm breathing this because you'll pass out. You cannot. It can kill you. If it can kill you, maybe you shouldn't be putting. If you're drinking a ton of water and then it's in your shower, and then you're in a shower, so now you have steam, so now it's in a gaseous state. So chlorine turns into chloroform.
Sure.
You know, chloroform make you.
Right.
So we don't want that. So that's one of the reasons for that. Now, can we avoid it completely? No.
Right.
No. The best thing if you had a whole house water filtration system, if you're able to do that, that's great. But even just starting off with you can go get a Brita pitcher filter for just a couple bucks. So that would be a better choice.
That's what I was going to ask. So the filters that you see out there, you know, those are legit. Those help out.
Yes. Even just a carbon filter one is going to be better than nothing. Even most like refrigerators that have water in them, there's a filter that it has to go through. That's going to be better than nothing. And you can go way into it and get, you know, reverse osmosis, all that, and get, you know, better. But, you know, I would advise at least try and filter it some way.
Sure. Okay. And the last one of the 5 toxins was heavy metals and biotoxins.
Yes.
And so, you know, it talked about mercury and other things. Anything you want to add just to heavy metals? And
that's a whole big topic in itself, too. Yeah, we want to avoid this. Those heavy metals actually affect our brain. And that causes a lot of issues. Like I mentioned a little bit before about like Alzheimer's, dementia, that type of stuff. That affects that, and that's actually the fastest growing area of healthcare right now is dementia and Alzheimer's type care. They can't build facilities fast enough for that, and it's really sad. I mean, if you deal with a family member, something like that, again, they're there but they're not there. That just breaks your heart when you have to see that and be part of that. So want to avoid that whenever we can.
Yep.
So
Now, so the great thing about this book, and again, it's kind of where I feel like it takes a sensible, you know, ground to everything, is that they say, look, you're not going to avoid all these toxins.
No, it's impossible.
It's impossible in our world. But minimize them. Let your body, which is a detoxing body, do its job.
Exactly.
And so, but the issue is, if you over-toxify it,
you can only do so much.
It can only do so much, right?
Yep.
Right.
Your body always knows what to do. Doesn't need help, just nothing in the way. But if there's too much in the way, that's when things start to break down. That's when things happen. Just those little bit. Just take the next little better step. Just one more better step every day, and you're a whole different person at the end of the year.
Just one final thing. Question, because I read this in the book as well, and we talked about medications. The book does suggest supplements, though, that there are some good supplements out there.
There are.
As far as detoxing goes, what are the good things to be supplementing your body with?
That's a really tough, because supplements, there's a whole spectrum there, too.
Okay.
There's good, bad, ugly, everything in between. Sometimes you get, it's not just like complete, the cheapest is the worst and the most expensive is the best, but in some ways it is too. Again, you got to actually do your research on what is a quality supplement. Ideally, we would get everything we need from our food, but unfortunately our soil is so depleted, our food is lacking, so we do need to supplement in some ways for our health. To detox, that's a whole different thing, and it's hard to answer that one for you because every individual is different on their toxic level also and what they need to do.
Yeah. Okay, but supplements are okay.
Yes.
Fine, the purest kind.
Yes. And if you need help on that, there's some places you can go and I know like a natural grocers in town, they have a person there dedicated to answering those type of questions, helping you figure that out. Not that it's ever going to be perfect, but you can do better. If someone has a question, I can try and help them. But that's what you're trying to do. Trying to make those better choices along the way. Again, you can get either end of it, just like anything else. But you want to just do the best you can. And supplementation is important. Make sure you get some goods. Most people need a good quality multivitamin. Most people need a good quality, especially vitamin D3.
Right.
We live in Iowa. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe a probiotic, good for the gut. Stuff like that. There's some very basic ones that almost all of us need in some way, shape, or form.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's great. So, toxins, that was really eye-opening in the book, because I don't think about that very often. So as we wrap this up, hopefully you've joined us for all 5 weeks, and you've learned something. I really appreciate you being here and just helping us out. I think this is really good for the season of Lent. Lent is a season, in my opinion, to start something. I know a lot of times we talk about giving up something, which that could be what you're starting, right? Is giving up something. But really, the season of Lent is, in my opinion, is a great place to start something as you focus on Christ, right? And as we journey to the cross. I mean, we talk about that a lot during Lent. Think about what that journey means for you. And I think especially talking about physically, Lent's always so funny because I think a lot of us start the new year saying, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And by the time we hit Lent, we're nowhere close to our goal because we've given up and things like that. So it's a great time to start over. So I want to just close with these scripture verses from 1 Corinthians 15. Again, I think that as Christians, we really look at the value of the body. And the reason it's valuable is, in my opinion, is because Christ rose in bodily form. And so what we do with our bodies now, even though someday we'll be raised with perfect bodies, it is a reflection of that time in heaven. And the Apostle Paul says that basically here in 1 Corinthians 15. And so I want to read this to you. It's a whole section, but I'm just going to read verses 42 to 44. And it says this, "So will it be with the resurrection of the dead. The body that is sown is perishable. It is raised imperishable. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. If there is a natural body, there is also a spiritual body." And Paul goes on he unloads this theology of the body being important because, folks, it's not just that you have got your body now and someday you're going to get into heaven and you're going to float around like an angel as a spirit. We believe that we are going to have physical bodies and you are going to look like you in heaven. Thank God, right? That's much better than looking like a dung beetle, right? I mean, that would be terrible. You're going to recognize me in heaven as Pastor Paul. You're going to say, there's tall Pastor Paul, right? I'm assuming I'm not going to shrink in heaven. But, our bodies are important. And so I just want to say thanks for being here and helping us talk about the importance of what we're doing with our bodies.
I appreciate it. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. Last thing. Give us a website that they can learn more about your practice.
Just discoverhealthiowa.com.
Okay, discoverhealthiowa.com. Thanks again for being here. God's blessings on your Holy Week coming up and your Easter journey.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. See you later.